Hurricane Ernesto intensifies into a Category 2 storm and could strengthen even more on its way to Bermuda. And following the assassination attempt, the Secret Service plans to add additional security measures for former President Trump's outdoor rallies, including bulletproof glass. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Friday, August 16th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. We'll begin with the latest on Hurricane Ernesto. Overnight, the storm has upgraded into a Category 2 storm with sustained winds now over 100 miles per hour as it remains on track to cut through Bermuda. It's still got hundreds of miles to travel before then, so it could even strengthen to a Category 3 before landfall. A hurricane warning is now in effect for Bermuda, and there's a rush of people, including American tourists, trying to get off the island before the hurricane hits this weekend, projected to make landfall on Saturday. It could dump up to 10 inches of rain, which is how much Puerto Rico saw from the same storm system earlier this week. Crews there are still working to restore power to hundreds of thousands of people. This is likely to become the season's second major hurricane, which is coming much earlier than usual. Typically, the second major hurricane doesn't arrive in an average hurricane season until around mid-September. On the campaign trail, it's the economy taking center focus this week for both presidential candidates. Vice President Kamala Harris will be in battleground state North Carolina today to give her first major economic policy speech since becoming the Democratic presidential nominee. The plan is said to revolve around lowering prices and ending price gouging. Harris's speech today comes after an appearance with President Joe Biden in Maryland on Thursday, discussing their administration's efforts lowering the cost of prescription drugs.
Few leaders in our nation have done more on so many issues, including to expand access to affordable health care than Joe Biden.
On the other side, former President Donald Trump held a press conference at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. On display in the backdrop of Trump were stacks of groceries with signs showing how much prices of household items and food have risen from inflation over the past few years.
Harris has just declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority for her. It's going to be day one. But day one, really, for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Where has she been? And why hasn't she done it? Why hasn't she done it?
Looking ahead to this weekend, both Trump and Harris will be hitting more battleground territory as they're both slated to make appearances in Pennsylvania for campaign events. Former President Trump will hold a rally in Wilkes-Barre on Saturday, and Harris will be launching a bus tour in Pittsburgh. The Secret Service has found a way to let former President Trump go back to holding outdoor campaign events. They'll be putting up a ballistic glass barrier between him and the crowd. The Secret Service already does that for any sitting president and vice president, but since Trump is no longer in office, it hasn't been available to him. Federal law enforcement officials telling news outlets not every outdoor event will require the bulletproof glass, but it'll be used when there are issues at specific sites or a need for additional security. Officials say this is just one of the security measures being added to Trump's protection in the wake of the failed assassination attempt against his life last month. Others include increasing staffing, technology, and threat analysis. U.S. officials say some progress has been made in the latest round of ceasefire talks to end the Israel-Hamas war, which are expected to resume in Qatar today and likely will go through the weekend. Meanwhile, the British and French foreign ministers are making a joint trip to Israel in hopes of stopping the war from turning into a larger regional conflict. The renewed push to end the war comes as the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says the death toll in Gaza has surpassed 40,000, and fears remain high that Iran and Hezbollah militants in Lebanon will soon attack Israel in retaliation for the killings of top militant leaders. After having to cancel 3 concerts on the Vienna, Austria part of her Eras tour over a foiled terror plot last weekend, Taylor Swift returned to the stage in London last night. The show was held at Wembley Stadium with heightened security measures in place, though Wembley already has some strict measures to begin with. 2 suspects were arrested by authorities, allegedly inspired by ISIS to carry out an attack outside the stadium. Officials there say a major catastrophe was averted by law enforcement's actions. Finally this morning, Time magazine is honoring a scientist who created a bar of soap that has the potential to transform skin cancer treatment. Did we mention he did this while also participating in his school's marching band?
My name is Heyman Bekele. I'm 15 years old and I love science, creating, and I recently made skin cancer treating soap.
Yes, the 15-year-old scientist from Fairfax, Virginia is Time's 2024 Kid of the Year. Time putting Bekele on its cover, recognizing him for, quote, developing an affordable compound-based bar of soap that could in the future be a new and more accessible way to deliver medication to treat skin cancers, including melanoma. The teen was already named America's top young scientist by 3M and Discovery Education last year for his invention. Bekele telling Time magazine he is passionate about skin cancer research and finds it incredible that one day his bar of soap will be able to make a direct impact on somebody else's life.
I personally hope one day that skin cancer treating soap can turn into a more not-for-profit organization where we can really just distribute it to people that need it the most.
And these are your top stories for this Friday. We'll see you back here on Monday. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great weekend.